Peace, 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 and welcome to another broadcast of In the Circle Ministries. You guys can give me 1 second. All right. I'm back. I apologize. I was too busy jamming and doing some research. Notification reminded me it was time for my live. Well, thank you for joining the Inner Circle Ministry. This is our virtual YouTube ministry here. And this is our What's Up Wednesday show. And we're completing up the thing about Mr. Louis T. Fadden. We've actually finished up most of the reading, but today is like what I'm going to call What's the Verdict Day. So we'll get into that as well as the show continues. But I want to thank you for coming out. Thank you for joining the channel. Thank you for being a subscriber, whether you're long-term or new-term. Thank you for coming out and becoming a new subscriber. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for hitting the notification button. And thank you for investing in yourself. For some reason that you were searching for something, you ended up here. So I'm glad and gracious for that as well. And may something that I know that something that here, may you take away from whatever you hear from here, something that you can apply in your life. So the biggest part of anything we do here in our ministry, outside of everything else, is we're still going to step into the civics, is our self-mastery, is what we call it here. Growing within yourself. There's only one thing that can be mastered and only one thing that you can master, and that is yourself. And if you can master yourself, then the whole world and universe is mastered from my understanding, belief, and experiences. So allowing your higher consciousness to be the ruler, dictator, and facilitator of things in your life, from the decision-making process up here in your council, in your kingdom. Allowing those deliberations that take place with inside of the Senate floor of your mind, let those things be righteous and let them be all from a higher consciousness and a higher place of dictatorship. Because whenever you let your default setting or your animalistic nature or what you're used to doing in what the physical world and everything that you brought into society or societal norms, conducting yourself in that physical way doesn't coexist with the mindset that you have now. Having the same Christ mindset or having a Christ mindset is what we call it here, for the sense of understanding that there is no separation between you and God. Not all in the biblical sense of Christ and what you will hear in theology and doctrination through the Bible, but through the same literature, understanding that Christ knew that he was divine and he followed the divine order of what he would call as the Father, or some have noted or tried to explain it to be God. Or in other fields, they call it universal laws, the unimputable laws that do not change. But having that mindset of knowing that you are the God and you are the author and you are in divine harmony with the universal laws, you're seeing things from a spiritual concept, not through a physical concept. So in a more broken down form, you're able to see things from a place of resolve than a place of in the situation, or a place of being in whatever you're dealing with in your problem or the midst of your problem, and dealing with trying to get through and around and out of the problem instead of getting resolve of how did you get into the problem so as you cannot repeat the problem. So that's what self-mastery is all about here. So we have different experiences through my life and everything else that we talk about here, and that I feel like I said before, is what you'll be drawn to and why you'll be drawn to the channel, and everything else are add-ons or additionals. I'm not gonna say adjectives, but they're things that you can use to help complete things that you're doing in your life. What's up, baby girl? Everything good? Okay. Here you go. Yeah, excellent. You're welcome. But so understanding that it helps you um what I would call take the world. You may see view the world or view everything inside of the world through your concept in your mind through a great big old thing. You can narrow it down. You can take it and put it up under a microscope and those things become one. You can see things here. You can bring the scope of thing in. You can take and actually look at things in a different way and see them for the truth that they are instead of all of these other things that can be brought into view if you're going to view it as this wide of a spectrum. So your growth and your inner growth and your spiritual growth, no matter what way you go through it, no matter what religion, no matter what doctrination or whatever else, or teachings or belief that you come up under, however, whatever, um, these things helped me conduct my life in a way to see things in a different way as well. So, but we talked about Mr. Fadden over the last couple of weeks, and wanted to say that the verdict, or what is the verdict? I'm going to give my verdict, and you can leave your verdict in the comment sections. Um, what will be the verdict about what we've talked about and what we've read and what I've read online and anything else that you may have studied for yourself if you took the time and energy out to do it as well. No matter when you come across this video, your comment is welcome to be left behind. But what is the output? What is the outcome? So just from my view, my standpoint, there's a lot of things that he made privy that we hear about today that's made it into a lot of PowerPoints or the building blocks for a lot of procedures and processes in this movement that we would call into private, or learning the difference of how to operate differently outside of mainstream and everything else, but operate in a way outside of, as I said before, mainstream, understanding that you do know and you actually learn and educate yourself through the knowledge and information that's out there about who, what, when, where, your status, civics, statute laws, penal codes, constitution, um, and things of that nature, and how the government was set up. We know we talked about the straw man. Sometimes I talk about other videos about security party. That be later on videos. We talk more about that process as well. But understanding more about the private and how to operate into the private, and understand how you operate as a sovereign citizen, but not as one that is denoted as the federal government call it, but a sovereign citizen, understanding that it is not a real word. It is something that's put together, but it is also a real statutory status of one who's been able to govern themselves and been able to protect the things that they're governing and handling themselves in a certain way. So we'll travel down that road for a minute while we're here. So to be a sovereign, you must be able to finance whatever it is that you have first. You must be able to take care of yourself financially, or your nation, or your country, or your neighborhood, or your tribe, or whatever you may want to call it, or your individual personal life as an individual. To be that sovereignty is that gift that was given from God for you to be able to have things in life and to pursue in your pursuit of happiness, attaining wealth being one of the things, attaining a house and a car or any other amenity that you may deem to be fit inside of this economy to accommodate you in your pursuit for happiness and liberty. It's other things that's in the I'm not going to say I don't want to say the Bill of Rights, but not Declaration of Independence for sure, but it's constitutional protected right about people being able to be protected in their personal and their private and their possessions. They're able to pursue certain things and have certain things. But anyway, that's your God-given right to do those things. And so as a sovereign, when you get those things, you're sovereign, acting up under your God-given sovereign authority, because you don't need no one outside adjudicating or telling you what and how to do with those things that you have. If it's property, whether it's your effects from papers, person, or your persons, if it's from paper, effects to your physical property, if it's financial property, if you have equitable interest in certain things, if you have physical interest in certain things, like if you own a home or a car, you have possessionary interest in it. Bank accounts, jobs, lawnmowers, land, whatever it is, those are your things. If you can secure it, you can have it, you can possess it. Those things in the law was created to help you, protect you, to keep you with those possessions and not allow anyone else to infringe on that thing. And you're a bridge on your ability and rights given from God to go out there and attain those things, right? So on a personal level, when we get to a bigger level, even though, like we'll say, we can see things that happen with Venezuela, they're supposed to be a sovereign state, but they cannot. And this is just from my understanding of sovereignty. They're not sovereign outside of nothing but declaration and paperwork. Truly sovereign, they could have stopped the U.S. from coming in and taking and doing whatever they want and replacing their president and the dictatorship of foreign oppression from the U.S. or anyone else. They have the right to have whatever they wanted to. And if their president are doing whatever in their election, that is their thing. That is not nothing over here. But that sovereignty only exists if America couldn't have went and enforced what they did. And if they hadn't went and enforced it, then that speaks about the sovereignty of Venezuela. Now, how Venezuela reacts or responds to whatever determines how they stand and what type of sovereignty do they have. Do they have the national defense, the weaponry, the forestry? Can you, like I said, on a personal level, when it comes to it, like they have something else they call like you can get a local title if you can move in on somebody's property that you know that's been abandoned. And you fix it up, you keep it up, and you stay in that place for South Carolina, you stay in there for 10 years where it's obvious that someone's living there. And even if the owner is in state or out of state, they can see that it's obvious that it's not no longer abandoned, someone's staying there. You're paying the taxes on that property, you fenced it up, you're keeping it up, you're paying the light, power, and water. In 10 years, you can do a quick claim deed and you can own that property. Yes, there's other remedies, but it's hard for the remedy of the owner to come back and get it after that period of time, whatever in South Carolina. But you can get that title through a local title by you showing that you are the sovereign of that particular piece of property that's going to be identified in the land records up under a partial number that's going to show where it was. And so when you do your quick deed and you're going to show you being the new owner, you're going to backtrack and show the old owner or the previous owner that has abandoned the property that you're staying in, and you can go back through the deeds and see it by the record that's already on there, the previous owner. Now you have it. That is your property because you've shown yourself to be the sovereign over that property. America showed itself to be the sovereign over the sovereign country, state, nation of Venezuela. But by treaty and by right, then Venezuela is supposed to be untouchable. But anyway, not to dig into politics, I'm just speaking into sovereignty and how that works. And there's been a sovereignty or sovereign of a state that you're born into, and me being a South Carolinian, by colonizers aspects, but my indigenous, bloodline and nationality and what nation I'm from dictates really who I am. But that sovereignty can be displayed in different ways. But needless to say, coming to the South Carolinian and that sovereignty that I have as a citizen is that I have protected rights for me to be able to do the same thing inside of the state. I'm able to acquire land, house. If I don't do my own thing and have my own company, but source of income, not source of income, but if I can trade, barter, that's the legal and the rightful way to do things. It's to trade or to barter. You can trade and barter your time and your energy for whatever it is. If somebody has 400 bales of hay that they need done, and I can barter my time and my energy, they say I'm willing to give you 25 cents per bale that you can move, that I can barter that. We can exchange that. My time and my energy. There's no so-called income. But anyway, Inside of that, I'm protected by that in my sovereign citizen right, and the government was created to protect my sovereign citizen part about it. But I am not above handling myself outside of those things that I have delegated as far as Congress and legislative and the executive and the Constitution and all these other things that has been set up. There's a certain order and a certain way to handle those and to handle yourself inside of that and to handle yourself as a sovereign citizen inside of it. It's not my balance, it's not my force, it's about redress, and it's all about uh, uh, um, collectiveness. It's not individuality, even though the sovereignty of the collectiveness comes from the individuality of the individuals inside of a certain geographical place, state, nation, sister state, kingdom, whatever. Then it's got to be collectively the same way that those representatives were sent collectively. So you have to make your regress collectively and make your regress to a certain people and a certain institute, legislation, executive, or whatever, to the courts through those things or whatever, to change, abolish, or to fix the government or to adjust it. But they're your public servants, and they are there to do a fiduciary duty, and they're there to serve you because you are sovereign. Just as God is sovereign, everything that God has created is created through the servitude of the individual. And you look at any religious and in a dogmatic or traditional fashion, is God is supreme, no matter if it's Yahweh, if it's Allah, if it's Krishna, and no matter what the gods are, they require the subjectude of the thing that they created. That show they're subordinate to the sovereignty power of God. And they was created to do a thing, to be a trustee, mostly through Christianity, to be a trustee and a steward, a husbandman, or whatever different illustrations the Bible used to describe their positioning. But to do those things. So anyway, so Mr. McFadden talked about a bunch of things that we could, like I said, we hear about in this movement or in this space that they would call the private, or some would call sovereign citizen ideology and all those other sovereign citizen movements, but all this other stuff. But it's been coin phrase for a bunch of different things. But a lot of the stuff that we hear now is regurgitated stuff that was already spoken, and it was spoken on a bigger platform, and it cost this man his life as a whistleblower and not a crazy man, from my understanding and from my research. He was named a Semitic against the Jews when there's nothing he said, and you can see recorded that he said anything against any Jews. There was one Jewish guy that was running for a position that he didn't want to have that position, and he stated that because he was not a nationalized or a citizen, but he was a Jew or whatever, but those dual citizenships shouldn't have, or his position shouldn't allow him to have it. But he talked about the bankers and talked about the Rothschild and their Jewish connection to the biggest people that control the finances and everything into this world. Attempt was done on his life twice till they finally succeeded. You don't let a crazy person that has no value or no legitimacy into what they're saying, you don't get killed for saying shit that ain't worth nothing. If that was the case, we wouldn't have no rappers or rappers alive, because a lot of them ain't talking about shit. But anyway, he wouldn't have been attacked, and his life would have been taken if so. There was no validity into what he was saying. And I honestly believe that there was a lot of it, because we can see it now. And this is something like you would say if you're looking in the Bible, something that was predestined or something that was predicted and something that was told about before it happened. We see these same things today and see evidence of these same things. Where he would call a conspiracy theory, we actually see now it's no longer a conspiracy. It's no longer as a theory, but as a proven fact. Now, unto the evidence, unto the exactness of all those things is what's left in the water. And up to the individual to decide what's conspiracy and what is facts. Same thing with the flat earthers or global earth, or having a globe earth, or you know what I mean, different things of that nature. It's all up to the people, but the media and the world that is controlled by certain people will put their spin and put their twist on it, and they're going to promote their beliefs, their thoughts, and everything else. So you're going to be called. He was called that. He was demonized. He was ostracized. He was kicked out of a lot of things. and they just literally got rid of a guy that was so esteemed and that was so great. You just don't turn to be a rotten apple overnight. And not saying that he wasn't privy of a bunch of this information. He might have been as guilty as they said as he was of this information, but they brushed it off. Nobody, you'll never read anywhere on the Congress floor where he was speaking that anybody objected to what he was saying. They basically just talked shit and smeared it in different. They tried to defame whatever he was saying without any proof, without any evidence, without any facts. And the dude brought plenty of receipts. From everything that I've read and everything I've shown you on here, you can see plenty of receipts of what he was saying. So the way theories works is theories are supported by certain things that can be maybe proving to support the theory. But when it becomes a fact, these are factual things that are supporting the facts that makes it the factual thing, if that makes sense. So when you have receipts to prove that this is a fact, then it's no longer a damn theory. They had a theory that the indigenous people came over and they are African Asian people. And that's something else we'll step into later on. The African Asian people that came over from the last ice meltdown and that caused the Great Flood and the so-called Tartarians and the erasure of the Tartarian knowledge and information through that mudslide. But that shows that theory has been debunked. Why? Because there's new evidence to show that here there was already footprints in life here existing well before the Ice Age. So they wasn't the first one to come here. There was people living here. There's other information that shows that the Mississippian life begins with the Mississippians, and from that river, a bunch of culture was spread out through the Americas well before it was spread out into other places. And there'll be other things we'll be touching on. We're gonna have fun with as well too. So like the Kitawa people that I've been able to trace, and I'm pulling more evidence for myself for personal evidence to show the bloodline tie, call themselves the original people, and they have the turtle owling belief system of how civilization came, and they call themselves the principal people. Before the colonizer came, they had their own name for themselves before they were called Cherokee. And some of the Chickasaw from my dad's side, from my mom's side, from the upper parts of Tennessee, and all of them going to have Mississippian culture like mound builders and agriculture with corn and all these other things tied to this. This is up there well before there was any of those other stuff. So I'm saying theories are theories until they're debunked, and they're all going to be theories, but we deal with facts. As we talked about in previous videos, beliefs are good, but beliefs should be the core basis for you to have, or the fuel for you looking for facts. Fact finding. You are a court yourself. You are a court of fact finding. You examining facts, exhibits, and all this other stuff to prove fact. Theories, hearsay doesn't matter in this place. Presumptions can't be presented as facts inside of the courts. Your beliefs can be presented as facts inside of the court if you have a confirmation bias, but there are still presumptions. But what are the real facts? And if the facts are not presented, the presumptions will be presented as facts. Same way with the evidence of theories would be presumed to be facts until someone proves them different. And it's up to the individual once those evidence and those facts has been proven or disproven in their theory to one who still believes like, nah, to me that's not satisfactory facts. But anyway, there's a lot of evidence and a lot of proof that proves that a lot of the way we are now in the society that we live in now, this cash-based or debt-based society or asset-based society, is no longer one of monetary backing or real money or things of substance. Backing it is all asset-based, and the asset is promissory note, promise to pay. It is all debt-based. And it was created and it was talked about back then, and it cost that man life. So that, and in other words, in short, there's a lot of stuff that's been regurgitated and talked about here, not just on my channel, but all over the internet world. There's a bunch of young people that don't have nowhere near as degree in my face. That's not debunking the fact of knowledge being based on gray, or silver. But there's a lot of people that have been in this world long that just not stepped into some of this older information. And I'm gonna be honest, they do not have the answer to some regurgitated information that never had an answer. It was still a theory, proven never ever to be a fucking fact. But it's settling because people like lies, people like bullshit, people like drama, people like the thrill of it. But if you're a scrutiny, you study and you learn, and you'll see that this is just a theory, then it's up to you. Then you have no one else to blame if you're caught in theology and you're caught up in hermeneutics. You're not caught up in data and actual facts and knowing. You still have a strong belief. A strong belief does not equate to fact. Strong belief does not equate to fact. And so most religion mind people, or most common mind people, will still hold on to a theory and hold it as a truth because of that. And they will call it a fact. With no evidence to support the fact besides, it's a fact because I say it's a fact. I believe it. I was once that individual too. But anyway, what's your thought? What's your opinion? Do you believe Mr. Fadden was a whistleblower, or was he crazy? Was he a conspiracy theorist? Or was he someone who actually had something to say and was actually telling the damn truth? Now, that information that I gave you was just some principal information, some good education to have to understand a lot of stuff that you may deal with whenever you do come to Inner Circle Ministry and you do donate and become a member and see the processes and the things that we have. You can understand more about what you are dealing with. And once you understand who you are spiritually, and then what you're doing, you're trying to translate on paper or through processes, then that spirituality will be transferred through those things when you do have a clear understanding, not just a straight, strong belief in the theory and the process. And it all makes sense. Have a clear understanding of it, and those things that you speak will come to pass. It will not come, your word will not come back unto you void. It will accomplish everything that it was set out. So, check the description section out. Come join the Inner Circle Ministry and see some of the things that we have to offer, such as what I call, it's not just mine, but it's also been called as a secure party / creditor process, where you take control of the straw man, you lean up the straw man, you become first in line, first in time on liens. Put yourself in first priority process. How you can move your assets that are free of encumbrances, liens or mortgages or whatever else. You can put inside of the trust and protect your assets and protect them from, if you was to fall ill. We was able to help certain individuals real close to us be able to be put into certain situations where they do a 5-year look back and everything was protected. There was no penalization and the care was still given and needed. So you can protect your assets, you can have them done that way. You can be able to build and create yourself and operate in the world of commerce and build your future legacy and your future finances, controlling your taxable income, or whatever it may be. And structure yourself in that way and handle yourself in that way through LLCs or through trust or through your church. And that way now you can be profitable in those manners as well. How you can have other processes as far as name change, status corrections to the passport, all these other things that will help you completely separate yourself from the straw man. As I would say, take control of the straw man as you've heard before, and actually operate in commerce in the way that you should be. And you can control everything and own nothing in that same manner. And that way you can actually show your sovereignty for what it is. Your sovereignty mostly is lost when you volunteer it away, when you operate from certain statuses, when you operate from a citizenship, or you operate from a corporation, or you operate from a trust. There are certain sovereignties that's given up, and there are certain benefits that are not given up. All about which vehicle you use to choose to travel through this thing called the world. Trust set up, ecclesiastical trust, setting up your church, things of that nature as well. That's what we're here for. That's what we offer. And ways of doing it through experiences that tell you that you actually get results and how you can actually utilize these things in your life. And when you go out to the world, you can use and benefit from setting your life up as you are as God, or setting yourself up as church. And you don't pay taxes at places that you don't pay. You pay what you're supposed to pay. You're supposed to pay what it is. There's no taxation on whatever you buy, sell, trade, or do whatever. And learn the rules and the regulations inside of it, of how to make sure you stay in compliances, and you don't have to worry about surrendering your sovereignty to the corporation of the U.S. government in its federal jurisdiction or state jurisdiction, in a sense, just by the way you operate. But yeah, once again, I want to thank you for coming out. I want to thank you for being the best part of the show. I want to thank you for listening to me. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for catching up where you needed to catch up, and thank you for uh, being here and keeping up with me from the beginning to the end. So if you're a long time subscriber, or if you're someone new, watch the video. Don't try to pre-listen and pre-think. Just listen to it, and you better follow along. You better catch up, and you better keep up with everything I was saying. So that was just Mr. Louis T McFadden. Some of the things that I pulled out, I'm not gonna say entirety, but I believe he was a whistleblower. And like I said before, a lot of the statements and a lot of things that he made on the Congress floor about the Federal Reserve Bank and the federal and the national banks and the Federal Reserve Acts and all these other things that happened and took place, he was absolutely true. The goals were swindled and gave off to foreign people, and the people here weren't able to capitalize off of it. They only got the short end of the stick. And you're going to continue to get the short end of the stick as long as you follow those things as citizens and everything else. But that's what our ministry here is here for. So look forward to more continuous spirituality, more civics, deeper details, and a bunch more other stuff. So I'm excited about a lot of things that's coming forward that you may not see or you may not know that's coming forward. So yeah, real super excited about it. Where the channel has been going from where it started from 3 years ago to where it's at now, and the process that it's making, and the things that it's doing. I'm super excited, and where it's headed. So I would advise you to continue to stay tuned, stay notification up. When I go live, when I don't go live, when I post things, you get more from interacting too. So there's information or thoughts or opinions or stuff you may want to know more about. Communicate through the chat. Communicate through various sources of ways of communicating through email and other things that we have. Do that as well. I want to thank you for everyone that came on tonight. Thank you for those that come on later on and watch. Thank you for those that will be drawn in through YouTube or wherever you may be drawn through, and you're going to be able to be brought into this circle real quick. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for allowing yourself to be rooted and grounded and gravitated here to where as you stick around, you help the analytics, and there's something in here that's going to help you, and you know it, and you're going to hang around, and you're going to subscribe to the channel. You're going to like, you're going to hit the notification until you see that thing that it is that you were looking for, and you get that aha moment. I'm going to get off tonight. I'll catch you next time as soon as I can. I love you, and I thank you. And peace, love, prosperity to everyone else. Peace to the gods. And you guys have a great, great night.